Hello, everyone. This is Whitney Will from Hearth Astrology, and I'm with my dear friend and colleague, Nicole Stark of IO Astrology, and we are talking today about the forecast for March of 2026.
Yeah.
We're recording this on February 23rd, so we are a week after those eclipses and we are swimming in it. How are you, Nicole? Thank you for being here.
I am here. Yeah, I'm exhausted emotionally and physically, but here. Going through it. So yeah, it'll thanks for having me, and as always, and it's such a pleasure to talk with you. And yeah, but I'm definitely feeling the eclipse season. South node on my sun just draining every ounce of my energy. I really just want to hide, but that's okay. You can't hide. How are you?
Yeah, thanks for being here to not hide here. Yeah, I mean, the gift of astrology is being able to, see things coming in and maybe sometimes being able to like lean in at the moment when it's time to lean in instead of, right, like getting dragged through something. So I'm in a place of incredible turbulence, but it was not unexpected, and finding my own strength and sense of power through that is at moments terrifying and at moments gratifying, and feels like a cool process of learning to trust myself in preparation for the North Node to transit my first house. So,
Yeah, bring all the goodness. Yeah, of the energy with you. Yeah, coalescing into you. Yeah, uh, that'll be good. Yeah, I know. I agree. Like that was the same thing with me this week. Like everything that happened wasn't totally unexpected, but it still hit really hard, and it was like I normally try to like run away from difficult things, and hide. That's like kind of my natural instinct. Moon in the 12th house, like we're gonna go away now. But instead, I just cried and worked literally right through it. And gave myself the space when it was able to. So, yeah. Anyway. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, that's the power of the astrology. And what we're talking about here is Saturn Neptune, which has just been this thing that has just been like brewing forever since like 2003 in one area. And then, of course, just like goes into Aries and blows up. That's what I felt like.
yeah.
Just blew up in your face.
Yeah. I mean, I think the eclipse and the Saturn, and Saturn Neptune, and it, right, being at the first degree of the zodiac, it's like, I think for a lot of people, myself included, you can feel this line being drawn between like, oh yeah, when I look back on this in 10 years, like this time period right now is going to be a like before and after era divider
Mm-hmm.
in life. And yeah, and I think also, right, having this, the first Aquarius eclipse and Saturn being the ruler of that eclipse brings that Saturn Neptune conjunction into the energy of that eclipse, and then that eclipse will square Uranus. And normally for me, when stuff like this is happening in my life, I just like climb the little ladder into my mind and I just do it all from a cerebral, like logistics, rationalization, intellectualization place. And I've been really feeling the like, I don't know if it's Uranus and Taurus squaring this eclipse, but really feeling this pull to stay connected to my body and to listen to the messages of my body and not override the information that my body is giving me, even though it feels really intense and overwhelming at times. And I want to climb into my brain and pull up the ladder and stay up there.
Yeah. mean, I think that is a great way to kind of speak about this, like, if we zoom into this cycle, because that new moon eclipse, yeah, it was square to Uranus, but then the full moon, like where that seed becomes like a blossom, is in Virgo, which is an earth sign. It is about your body. It sextiles that Uranus instead, you know, which we'll talk about. Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I think that maybe that's kind of, and Saturn is the heaviest weight in the earth. To me, it's the soil. It's like the earth. So I felt that too. Just like it, I cannot go away and try to analyze my way out of the situation. Like, you just have to sit in the discomfort of everything, actually. Yeah. Can see that. Yeah. Which is a place that, like, we're starting from all this month from. So
yeah,
it makes sense.
Yeah. So, right, March begins right in the middle of eclipse season with Mercury retrograde and Pisces in the wake of the exact moment of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which will get activated throughout the month by some different planetary things going on. Yeah, so that's where we are. We're kind of in the middle of everything. And we're also in Pisces season in the soup. So, right, as we talk about it, you know, we're going to try and find the Saturn chronology and work through it piece by piece. But we're also in Pisces season with Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So if this episode is a little bit dreamy, I think that's where the vibe, the vibe is.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to get into it? Yeah.
Yeah.
No. You mean no?
It's like, right? It's like getting into something, you know, there's multiple ways to start something that's uncomfortable. And right, like I'm thinking about like how you do a cold plunge. Do you like run into the water and then
I jump in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just go for it.
Do you like walk in?
Walking in isn't great because then it doesn't work like how you think it's gonna work. Your body does not acclimate. It's not like your legs are like, oh, it's cold, and the rest of your body is like, yeah, cool, we're down with the cold, even though we're up here being warm. It's just better. Just cannonball plunge.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like how we start the month. We're just like, we're going to run into this month. We're gonna jump off the edge.
Yeah, well, we kind of get dumped into this month, I feel like, because
because
February
is the ice bucket on top of us, not the polar plunge. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I was thinking like, yeah, February ends and we're just sliding into March. They're very like, March is different than February, but in the beginning, they definitely smoosh together.
The only thing I'll give this February is that it went incredibly fast and actually felt short. Whereas, like, I feel like other Februaries, it's just been like endless. This was not that. So I guess a point for interesting times.
Yeah. The highs were high, the lows were low. And there was so much happening, but I think you're right. I felt fast. Okay, so, you know, I named the headlines for March. I think we'll kind of, we can just process them as we go through because, you know, we do begin March. Second day in, we have Mars into Pisces.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a good image for this, and because the thing about Mars and Pisces is like Pisces is ruled by Jupiter, so there is like kind of a vibe between Mars and Jupiter being warm, a little fiery. And Pisces is, it's like I just keep thinking of like the heat coming into the ocean, which can produce some beautiful things like coral reefs and fishes, but also algae blooms and death, you know. So it's kind of, yeah, it's a really interesting place for Mars to be. And weird that in me, I feel like it should have like some kind of fall or detriment here. I don't know why, but it doesn't. It's a water sign that it's the only water sign that it doesn't have that in. Or wait, no, yeah, because it has its domicile in Scorpio, and then it's fallen Cancer.
Yeah.
And then this one is just open for interpretation, I suppose.
Yeah. What strikes me about this Mars in Pisces and how it might feel different for people and like something to pay attention to is that this is the first time we've had Mars and Pisces without Neptune since 2011. So I almost feel like Mars this time round might feel a little bit more Mars-like because it's not going on like wild goose chases with Neptune or right like the fog has cleared a little bit and it almost feels like okay, it can navigate better in this ocean without Neptune there.
Yeah.
And so, like, if there are things that have just needed to get done in the Pisces areas of people's charts, like, this is going to be the most effective Mars we've had in like 15 years for doing that, potentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does have like, I think good potential to push the dreams of the Pisces things in the chart like forward. And yeah, like you said, like, yeah, without Neptune there, like maybe we won't get lost in the ocean current. We'll be able to identify which ones we should be riding in this moment.
Or if there's something that we've been like putting off for a long time and just been like, oh, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. I'll get to that. But it like never quite feels like a priority or it never feels like we have a solid enough understanding to like figure out what we want. Then that can, or like for me, I'm thinking like, okay, Neptune has been in my finances house for 15 years. Like maybe with Mars and Pisces, I'll like actually find a financial advisor and be like, so I've heard of money. What do I do with it? Now that Neptune is gone, like, okay, can I actually take practical steps? Not necessarily to like, just to feel like Mars helps us feel powerful because when Mars is functioning properly, we can make decisions and take action. And so just feeling like, oh, okay, I can feel more powerful or more control in this area, potentially.
Yeah, I think that's extra true because as we see, it'll get that nice support from Jupiter, its ruler, because it's in a sign-based, as soon as it enters into Pisces, it enters into a sign-based trine with Jupiter and Cancer. So I think you're right on about that. I think it should be good. I do think too that it will bring, in terms of like the Mercury retrograde, which we've been in, and when it started, it was with Venus. So, and Jupiter, and as it retrogrades back, it's going to run into Mars. So I feel like whatever in that Mercury retrograde story, Mars is bringing the energy to sever or direct.
Yeah,
or dissolve, Yeah.
I was going over our notes from the year ahead before recording this episode, and the note that you wrote about the conjunction that happens later on, which we can talk about more too, says like a bottom and a pop. And what it made me think of is like in birth when your water breaks.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's like this, like it's in, especially like the weirdness of like if you're doing a water birth and your water breaks and like I don't know, it just felt very Piscean. I was like, oh yeah. But then, right, like occasionally, it's very rare, babies can be born without their waters breaking, but for the most part, breaking your water really speeds up labor or is a sign that it's about, like, something is about to come into being. And I was thinking about that. Oh, there we go. Sometimes maybe you do. You certainly need Mars in birth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that is kind of like what we're doing, I think, overall, as we're discussing with like a new eclipse cycle and new identities and things like that. Like, this is the part of the cycle. I think I said it earlier, where like Pisces it's really like endings, like it's really living up to the endings part. Mm-hmm. And then Mars kind of coming in here and giving us the courage to kind of move through that, and then like birds that new thing when it gets into, it'll get into Aries eventually. But here we're in that, yeah, I like that. In that in-between phase, right? Because it's like your water's burst, but the baby hasn't come. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that happens on Monday the 2nd. And then Tuesday the 3rd is our lunar eclipse in Virgo. Is this our second or third one so far?
It's the second to last.
I know it's the second to last.
That's the part I remember. I don't even remember. Is it the 7th? Like, how many do we have? 8 in this cycle? 7, 8? Is it 6 or 7? I wish I could remember.
In true Mercury retrograde fashion, I like my eclipse notes are
as
in my backpack at home.
Right. Well, the vibe is that we've been living in this space forever. So
yeah, for sure. And that this in some ways feels like it should be the last one, and in fact is not. We will get one more a year from now, but yeah, second to last one, right? I know for you and I, with all of our Virgo-ness, right? It falls on your stuff, it falls on my sun.
Yeah. It's 12. It falls very near my Mars and pretty much right on my ascendant.
Yeah. But again, right, it feels like it's kind of knowing what that looks like and then being in this, maybe that all of the Pisces stuff. I think maybe also Mars in Pisces is like the courage to let things go.
Yeah, I mean, this is the South Node. It's a point of like release. And Virgo is like the digester of the zodiac too. Definitely. So I just think about the integrating a release or processing releases. Maybe it's just the messy period of letting go. Not that things are let go. Like, it's not linear. Yeah, maybe that's why it'll come up in a whole year from now, But there is a nice sextile to Jupiter. That's the major aspect that this lunation makes. So I think there's some kind of gift in the dark of this period that will show itself as the month goes on. Maybe not in this exact moment of the eclipse, but yeah, it does feel like, as far as from my experience of and listening to your experience of the eclipse that we just had, and then this one, it does feel like it's like just a dark time of releasing and getting into it, like a deeper space in your body. And then that being Virgo and Mercury, just like this would be the time maybe to analyze a little better.
But not possible.
It's not possible, but it's like the trying or maybe it's just like a list of things you need to let go of but can't, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Because Mercury's at this point in the retrograde is under the beams of the sun. It's completely invisible, right? We're going to have the cazimi later on in this week. That might be that moment of clarity, but I think, it's also that moment when you realize, like, oh, this thing that you would reach for to figure stuff out, Mercury, is retrograde in the ocean of Pisces. And like maybe that sometimes when you don't have the normal tools or your old tools, like that is a gift too. Like there are some things that like you can't save, and in the moment when you're letting go, that feels just so impossible.
Yeah.
And then that impossibility becomes a gift once you hit that moment when you realize you've crossed the threshold from an ending into a beginning.
Yeah. And like, and maybe, I think maybe the way to process the information, it's not the normal way, but they're abnormal ways. I was thinking of, there's a song like with J May, I forget, Gray or Blue, I forget the full lyric, but she's like saying like, she's like, I'm away from my guitar, so I have to use a xylophone to make these feeling sounds. So like trying to get in touch with that through a different instrument than the one that you're used to using, or coping. I don't know. Maybe it's a change of coping mechanisms as well.
Which is maybe the same,
Mm-hmm.
right? And kind of resonates with what we were talking about earlier of like, maybe like, normally I would intellectualize and normally you would retreat, but like, oh, okay, we're like staying present in our bodies, in our work, and that yields new ways of being and new ways of processing.
We're not done, but we are. It's just, it feels like a very powerful emotional moment.
Mm-hmm.
And a very personal moment with this
one. And the next day we get Venus hitting a sextile to Uranus, which I might not like otherwise notice too much, but it's, Venus is basically on her degree of exaltation.
Oh, nice. I didn't realize.
So she sextiles Uranus at 27 degrees and her degree of exaltation is 26 Pisces.
Okay.
And right, Uranus is in her sign in Taurus, and they might have a conjunction before Uranus leaves. I think they do, actually, but right, this is like this little, Uranus brings energy and movement, and Venus is the place of her like greatest power in the entire zodiac. And so I think if there is, and then right after they do that, the moon goes into Libra, Venus's other sign. And so we get this kind of, I think there's a possibility for Venusian grace to like move us through a moment, and not like, even if we are in a painful space, like we're not left alone there to like stagnate.
Yeah, there's something positive about the liberation, or positive about the ending that is happening. I kept, when I looked at this and I looked at the surrounding, that Venus sextile Uranus, then the next day Sun trine Jupiter. Like there's just something circling this last eclipse where, as heavy as it is of a release, there's like these little flickers of light and hope. And I think you're right. Like this is a surprising version of that, this Uranus and Venus connection in a quiet way. I also wrote that it was a good time for a haircut. I really need one.
Yeah, although not if you're trying to grow your hair out. It is the waning phase of the moon at this point.
Yeah.
But
maybe freshen up.
Yeah. And so too, that's like, okay, then the Sun trines Jupiter, and it's like remembering that we're still growing. And Jupiter is right in this moment of stationing. It doesn't officially station until the following week, but is at the degree of its station, is basically just sitting in the sky and comes to get contact with the sun, which is the beginning, is telling a story and moving it along, and the sun in Pisces is ruled by Jupiter. So yeah, it's almost like we get a little current under our boats pushing us forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
For sure.
For sure.
For sure. Please let me rest in my little boat and just flow through the night, and I'll wake up where I wake up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that energy to me keeps building, kind of. March 7th is a weirdly loaded day.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Venus going into Aries on the 6th.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, this is just a weird, crazy time. Yeah.
Time is whatever. Yeah. Yeah, because again, it gets punctuated. So, yeah, on Friday the 6th, first thing early in the morning, we get Venus out of Pisces and into Aries. And Venus as kind of like the first planet, because a whole bunch of planets over the next month are going to go into Aries, but Venus doing that first, stepping in.
Yes, I'm calling this the plunge roadblock cycle, because she'll hit Neptune into that world and then run smack into Jupiter, which is what everything is going to do. That goes into
Saturn.
Or sorry, Saturn. Yeah. Words. Jupiter would be lovely. I would love it. That would be better. Yeah, it's such like an interesting thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but Venus in Aries, I just see this as like, what's striking to me is that it's March and it's March Madness, and that's like the height of gambling season, and she's such a risk taker in Aries. So money just flying around
for like a minute before she hits Saturn and loses it all.
Yeah, maybe don't gamble until later.
Yeah, please refrain from gambling until
I would not do it, but
maybe the 10th.
Yeah,
because she goes Neptune, Saturn, Pluto. Okay, but so Venus in Aries. I also think, I'm gonna go out there and say this, and people can come at me, it's totally fine. Venus in Aries is the most selfish Venus. And I don't even mean selfish in like a bad way, because I have a lot of respect for Venus. And Aries will quit things quickly that she doesn't want. And she calls out things fast. And I think that is startling. Even having a fire Venus myself. Startling and at times refreshing. And at times, I think she leaves the party too quickly.
It's very impulsive. Yeah. That's what I've noticed, is that like there's, even if Venus happens to be retrograde in your chart, natal chart in Aries, there's still this leaping before you look mentality into relationships, opportunities, business, war, like battles, like it's just sort of like she just does the things without thinking. I think there is a kind of wisdom there, like you said, occasionally. But yeah, Venus's natural inclination is to consider others, and Aries is not that place, like you're saying. So I think that's where it feels icky. Well, I mean, I guess Venus in Aries is also, I do see it show up in a lot of like advocates charts too. So it's not that there's a total lack of thinking about other people.
Totally.
But I'm not going to challenge you on that selfish position right now. I can't think of, there's nowhere else that leads the first place in my brain with Venus.
Yeah. I mean, I think
maybe Scorpio, maybe the other Mars, but that's kind of a different vibe.
Yeah, I find her a little more hoardy in Scorpio.
Yeah.
In Aries, she's like, well, I'm not dragging all of this stuff around. I don't have a cave full of my treasures. I'm just like,
my treasure is me.
My treasure is me. I think, Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it too, I'm also, right, like she's moving. We also are getting Venus visible in the sky for the first time, like right around now. Like we haven't seen her since the beginning of November. She's been under the beams of the sun as she moves from being the morning star to the evening star. So she's coming out as like a crone, but in the warlike sign of Aries. And so, as we're talking through this, I'm really feeling like, okay, this is giving Athena vibes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like what does it mean to be the goddess of war and wisdom, right? She's not morning star Venus and Aries, which would have a lot more, don't worry about what you break because you're moving so fast. But yeah, yeah, in the Iliad, right? Like the gods are like watching the battles the whole time. And then occasionally they'll be like, I'm going to go down there and just like kill a few people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to participate in this battle for a minute. And that almost feels like, okay, yeah, we've got Athena being like, let me show them how it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or being like, Mars is like out at sea, but someone has to clean this up. So
Yeah, so it's the female warrior that picks
yeah.
up the mantle for a moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, yeah. But of course she gets in there, it doesn't operate like that right away. Like the first thing that we do is just hit these
Yeah.
things.
Hit Neptune. Hit Neptune. Yeah, basically almost at the exact moment within like whatever 25 minutes of Mercury's exact conjunction with the sun. Venus joins Neptune. And so just time-wise, right? Like those two are so knit together. This like moment where Mercury is getting some kind of Piscean clarity, being reborn at the heart of the sun. There's some kind of gem of wisdom. And Venus can be infused and inspired by that.
Especially with Neptune. Yeah.
Neptune.
You have the two, like Neptune's supposed to be the higher octave of Venus. So you get that like
In evolutionary astrology.
Yeah, in evolutionary astrology. Yeah. I do think they have some. It'll be interesting to see how it presents in Aries, though. It would be much nicer if that was Venus with Neptune and Pisces. Instead, it's just sort of like, I don't know, Venus kind of coming in and adding to the boiling water. I don't know, more things.
Yeah. And activating that Neptune, that Saturn Neptune conjunction that's just separating, right? And kind of adding the Venusian topics to that. So relationships, money, value system, the potential to bring things together, which she's not super great at in Aries, just because that's not her function, right? She's intervening, but generally not for that cause.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to say. It's weird that it's happening with the Mercury cazimi because it feels like I feel like the Mercury cazimi, right? It should be a point of clarity, and then but if the thing you've been struggling with is relationships, to have that, right? Like Mercury begins its retrograde conjunct Venus, and then at the point of its cazimi, Venus is off with Neptune doing something we don't know, that it brings that fog back almost to the space when it should be a little more clarifying.
Yeah. And then we find out, right, like exactly the next day when Venus conjoins Saturn, what that fog was hiding or what it's really going to take to channel that Venus, Neptune, and Aries conjunction dream, whatever that looked like. And at the same time, later on that day, we also get Mercury trining Jupiter again, the second time. And
that's what's so weird to me, because I feel like on one way, this should be like a, I'm so hopeful, and then your hopes are crushed. But then Mercury it chimes in with the second of the, of its, right? It's the second time that it'll.
Yeah, it's the second trine. They're both stationing or like about to. No, they're not. Jupiter still is. Mercury's going to take a little bit longer. But yeah, there is, I don't know, I think, yeah, there is some hopefulness or some like faith that things are going to be okay, no matter what that. And I think that, I mean, Venus conjoining Saturn can be like heavier, but it can also be galvanizing in like solidifying a commitment, right?
Yeah, it either breaks or solidifies it. It's like kind of an extreme position,
Yeah, there's like a place of deep commitment that happens with Venus and Saturn. And so, yeah, if the Saturn Neptune conjunction was breaking realities or dreams or awarenesses, then, right, Venus coming in to see almost like what is salvageable or like what she wants to do in the wake of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My only caution is that they're not really, either of them are doing very well because, right, Saturn is in its fall and
Right.
Venus is in its detriment.
Right.
So it's like maybe it's like making the best of a bad situation. That could be like what's going on here. Like, okay, well, we're just going to make a plan to get through this portion.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, it's almost like Venus and Saturn are the like plan for the worst. And then the Mercury trine Jupiter is like the hope for the best.
Yeah.
Happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we're in the second week and Venus again, right? Like she is checking in with all the outer planets.
Mm-hmm.
Then she comes into a sextile with Pluto. So yeah, within a week she does Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, Pluto.
Yeah. She's very brave right now.
She is brave.
Yeah.
She is brave.
Yeah. She's
Sorry.
Yeah. We're kind of like
slandered that selfish.
kind of give Aries the courage. Yeah. So yeah, the sextile.
Yeah. Again, not one that I probably would notice or think about too much, except for just in the context of like Pluto. I feel like in this context is not likely to like explode things. It just makes things feel more intense.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's a backwards ray. Like I was thinking about it, like because at the end of the month too, or next in April, she does the worst thing when she squares Pluto. Anyway, but not to get too far ahead, but these things are also like, it's Venus doing it, right? Like Venus is not like, she's not like
the one
running into, it's not like Pluto's this obstacle here and Venus is moving this way. Venus is away, moving in the opposite direction from Pluto, but decides to go back and say, hey. Maybe it's like, maybe trying to take the reins of the power dynamics. Like that's how I always see it. And maybe direct them a little bit, but.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like, scary.
Yeah. Remembering.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. No. That was all. I just don't think it's as scary as like a aspect.
Yeah. Certainly not. Not a hard aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Tuesday the 10th, we get the official station of Jupiter. I am so excited for this.
Same.
Yeah. Jupiter's my Lord of the Year. I want Jupiter direct.
Oh, I mean, and just to have Jupiter go direct in its exaltation, just to bring back that stability and the hope and the forward progress and the light a little bit. I think that maybe this is where the gifts that we're hiding in the eclipse, seasons. Maybe they make an appearance, in your life, or you start to feel like you're heading in that direction. I'm looking forward to it. It's right on my Chiron. So
it's right on my South Node.
So it'll be, I'm ready to feel hope in the spiritual things again. I think that's what I've been feeling. This has just been a tide that I've been on honestly since 2018. This is just something I've struggled with. And when I went into this year, like, this is my Jupiter return cycle too, because my Jupiter is at 5 degrees of Cancer. Mm-hmm. And it's also loosely conjunct my Chiron too, in that sense. So this is sort of bringing that energy up, and I'm hoping for a bit of a balm on that belonging wound would be nice, or some kind of ability to work with it, if anything. But definitely this moment, this Jupiter station, like, begins the good part of the year. If we have like a good part of this year, it's definitely circling around Jupiter and Cancer.
Yeah. And I think that's some of the sweetness of March. Like, there is a little bit of it. It's very watery, and this is a piece of it. And yeah, I think also, right, like with Jupiter in your 11th house, not just of like friends and alliances, but also of like the 11th house really being our like aspirations for the future.
Yeah, hope for the future would be nice. It's not exactly where I am in my life right now. Well, I can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, but
yeah. And that I'm in an 11th house year, and Jupiter, I have a Sag, so Jupiter rules that 11th house, and like being like, wow, I've really been redrawing this, but I'm in like the erasing phase of like what I thought things are going to look like. And so hopefully, like, Jupiter kind of starts like painting again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He is the grand benefic, so just land some grand benefic things on us, please. We all deserve it. Mostly all of us.
Maybe even more
leaving
so
out a few
that don't.
Yeah. That's right. Tonglen, right? Wish for them to. If you want to change your environment, if you want peace in your environment, you try to ask for peace for the people around you that are causing you the issues. That's the principle. In any case.
Yeah. Friday the 13th, I feel like.
Oh, dang, that's a Friday?
Yeah, because we had it in February, and it's not a leap year, so we were gonna have the same one in March, and we get Mars on the North Node. So I don't know about peace, because North Node Mars is big Mars energy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if there was a peak of Mars's time in Pisces, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever Mars was doing in Pisces, it is doing it right there on the North Node, kind of inflating it.
It's like it picks up steam. I don't know. I can't separate it from it picks up steam, and then a couple days later hits Mercury.
Yeah.
Or Mercury hits it, I should say, because it's moving backwards.
They're moving towards each other.
They collide.
I don't know who's moving faster. We could figure it out, but yes, they collide like the Howie Day song. Throwback. A good day to listen to that song. Yes. Mercury retrograde in Pisces hits that Mars. We talked about it at the beginning of the episode. That's your water breaking in some ways. And it's also part of this series of a bunch of Mercury-Mars conjunctions that started last fall. This is the 4th out of 5, I think.
Yeah.
So they'll have one more in Aries later. And this only happens, like not super often
This
that
is
we
a
would
weird
have,
amount.
yeah, this many in proximity. It's definitely because Mercury is always traveling with the sun. We only have Mars kind of traveling with the sun every 2 years, right? Less than every 2 years, right around the reset of the Mars cycle. But then just the way that these retrogrades are hitting, we're just getting so many.
The
So,
way that I was looking at it, like in the cycle of things, just like because we do have, like in October, we had the first one, and then it went retrograde in November, and we had the second one. So we kind of understand this as like, that was the shutdown and then the end of it. Then we have another shutdown. Probably this is the dissolution. Like it just is in this like theme. And I when I look at this one though, I see that like Mars is going to be so much better at pulling the punch in the argument in Aries than it is going to be in Pisces. And so that maybe this is more of we're going to see more of the sever rather than puncture quality. And so rather than in this ongoing thing that's been existing since October, likely, or tension or arguments or things coming up in the space, I'm looking at it like it won't fully dissolve because it's going to come back, but it's like the regrouping or like I'm going to like maybe just stop the contact for now, pause it, and get more in alignment with myself, right? That's Pisces is all about like universal heaven alignment with the heavens. And so this is like maybe the moment of realigning by either stopping a conversation or severing something, but you're not going to sever completely. We just know that because we got the last one coming. So.
And Mars and Mercury together, right? Like while they can be fighting words, they also like brevity.
Yeah.
And right, like this is not a Mercury that can communicate clearly in a succinct way.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I feel like it's like you're saying, there's the potential of like you're digging a hole, and this is the moment where like it just is. It's like filling with water, and you're like, I have to walk away. We got to stop digging ourselves deeper into this hole, and also now it's mud. So
yeah, so we can't do much of this anyway.
Can't do much of it, and we also, we're in the last week of the lunar month at this point. There is this kind of like, God, can't we like rest?
Yeah, I just don't think there's going to be much of a will to, I don't know, do things for long. It's not a long campaign. I think you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, so third week of March, we have the 17th, a retrograde Mercury on the North Node with potentially some of its final thoughts in its retrograde. That'll be right the second of 3 conjunctions that it makes with the North Node.
Yeah, I think we're like, it's a lot of this retrograde too cannot separate from the fact that it was eclipse season, even if it isn't still eclipse season. So I think we're still like, I just see it as like processing, I don't know, or daydreaming. Maybe not processing, but we're still in that, or whatever it is, it's still that like eclipse space.
Yeah, I think, especially until the next day on Wednesday the 18th, we have a Pisces new moon that is not an eclipse. So we get our first uneclipsed lunation. We get our first Pisces new moon without Neptune there in 15 years, without Saturn there in 3 years. And we have a Venus square Jupiter happening on that moon, and the new moon is in a sextile to Uranus.
Yeah, which means the sun is as well. Yeah. When I was thinking about this lunation, it kind of zoomed out like to the fullness of the cycle, because this is, it's an uneclipsed Pisces new moon, but at its full moon 6 months from now in August, it is an eclipse, and it's also the final eclipse. So whatever
Final
this
Pisces eclipse,
in Pisces, the final Pisces eclipse. So I think we're really getting close to that new beginning part of an ending. I think with this, but we're not like quite through it. But like, this one sextiles Uranus and the full moon squares Uranus. So there's something up here in the Pisces sector, this new start for it's a whole year, right? We only get these new moons once a year in a sign. And it's the first time that it isn't, being eclipsed or doing something crazy, really. I mean, it's a sextile to Uranus, so that's not like, it's not a harsh aspect. We have this really pleasant Venus square Jupiter happening. I think it's pleasant, I think.
Yeah. Energizing.
Yeah, energizing. Yeah.
Enthusiastic.
Stabilize. Yeah, we like support for Jupiter's down for Venus's loudness, maybe, and bravery and courage. Yeah, so it's not like a bad lunation to me. I don't know. I think it's just it's going to be quietly liberating, I think is what I wrote, because it'll just take that time. Like, I think we're really in that like 6 month, where this one we might feel the 6 month arc a little more than normal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that it really puts its hand on the frayed edges of eclipse season too. And there's a little bit of, just as a new moon, this like, maybe there is, things are still happening. There's not any kind of stagnancy here, but it does feel like potentially restful.
Yeah, especially with Jupiter now direct ruling the lunation.
Yeah. And then on Friday the 20th, we get the vernal equinox. The sun moves into Aries. Mercury stations direct. And the moon moves into Taurus later that day too, which just feels funny. We get like both the luminaries that have just gone through, right? Like trials for the luminaries are the eclipses. Mm-hmm. And then we get the sun in exaltation, and on the same day, the moon in exaltation. Mm-hmm. So they have some, we've called them back out on stage to give a round of applause for.
Yes, we survived.
We did it. And Mercury is stationing, and we realized, we learned, we're turning around. Okay, everybody get back in the car. We are going to finish the road trip. Like.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'll take that little moment like that from the 18th to for a little while, the 22nd maybe.
Yeah, we start moving forward again.
Yeah.
The 21st, we get Mars trine Jupiter. So that's something that we've been, I think, for the first 3 weeks of the month, right? With Mars moving through Pisces, we are looking at that. We are building towards that, and we get Jupiter back up and moving forward again. And so there is.
Yeah, Mars is the ruler of the sun, having a very productive conversation with Jupiter. The sun is no longer in a space of endings, and now it's the beginning. People are going to be mowing their lawns. I was thinking about this because like I'm not living in a neighborhood this year, so for the first time in a while I'm just sort of out in the in the mountains, and I was like, oh man, am I gonna miss the, lawnmowers and leaf blowers and sounds of humans being active outside? It always seems to mark. It's always like right around where I'm like, okay, here comes spring. The old mans are mowing their lawns.
The old mans are out. The old mans are out. The daffodils and the old mans.
They really care a lot about their lawns, okay?
Yeah.
They got to do something in retirement. Anyway.
Yeah. And then, yeah, well, okay, I'll check. I will smell the grass.
Yes. It already feels like spring here. I feel like I've never been in winter, really.
Yeah.
There's so much sun. But the winds, that's the new thing. That's like in New Mexico, we get the really strong winds. And that actually started at the Aquarius eclipse. Yeah.
No, thank you. I do not miss that about New Mexico.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, I was wondering. I feel like I don't know how to do this, but at work, everyone was like, wind is my least favorite element. And like, I'm okay with the wind. So I don't know if that's like.
So far you are. Just.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wind is my least favorite weather too.
Yeah.
But yeah. And the wind in New Mexico. And even in Colorado in the spring.
Yeah.
Especially when it has dust in it and it just feels like it like cuts your face.
That's true. That's gonna stink. Yeah. And I suppose, I'll button down the hatches here. Hopefully my living space doesn't just topple over. I don't think so, right? Jupiter's in a good condition, rules my fourth, so hopefully my home is stable.
Yeah.
That's what we'll say.
Yeah, it could be very rainy under this.
Yeah.
It would be weird.
Rainy?
For you, not for me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Wind and rain.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we get the sun coming into Aries and introducing, right, in the synodic cycle, like what Neptune and Aries is going to be. And, right, picking up the pieces of that Saturn-Neptune conjunction, again, activating those pieces from the solar sphere.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too, like with this happening alongside Mercury stationing direct and moving forward, like that's the period of time where I see like integration happening. So I just wonder if like with the sun going over that Saturn Neptune conjunction in a state of exaltation, beaming all of the light into this space, like there's no more shadow, ideally, or at least at this moment, we see everything we can see. And it's also, the sun is like it's a solar function, it's purpose and spirit and life, I don't know. And we've been in this period of knowing that we're restarting new identities, and then when we get to here, we still have to integrate like everything we just emotionally felt, right, it through. And so yeah, it'll activate it, but then the sun will carry that story forward, like you said.
Yeah, and we will have more than a decade to learn that story.
Yeah,
with the sun and Neptune in Aries. The dreams of who we can become.
Yeah. I feel like it's the like maybe the true dawn of the new era. Because I mean, this is a Saturn Neptune. It's a one-off, which is strange.
Yeah.
We were talking about that on the astrology podcast, and maybe this is when we're like, okay, this is the new. Who are we in the new era?
Yeah, and a good day for like processing that with, again, Mercury making its third and final conjunction on the North Node, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Conversations, free-flowing conversations about that allow for like pieces of you to fall off and pieces of you to emerge.
In a way, too, that's going to be long lasting because it's Saturn there. Saturn. Then we're going to deal with Saturn and Saturn conjunct the sun.
Yeah. So after the sun completes that conjunction with Neptune, then it's building for the beginning of the third week of March or fourth, maybe.
I think we're in the last. I think we're in the.
Mercury and Pisces. Anyway.
We see the end, the finish line, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost. Well, it's kind of weird because, yeah, April starts like midway.
Yeah. But yeah. So the sun is building towards that conjunction with Saturn from the 23rd till it hits it on the 25th. And reconciling, right? Like, right, we get the like inspired dream of the sun conjunct Neptune and then recognizing what it's going to take. You know, I think that Saturn is always the cost of things, not necessarily like having to do with money, but you know, I think even like during our Saturn returns, even if we get the like the thing that we wanted or like the life that we wanted or the opportunity, we realize like how much work actually goes into that thing. Like what's it going to take to maintain that, right? I have a favorably placed Saturn and I wanted my whole life to be a mom, and during my Saturn return that is what happened. But it also, right, like that is it's a very laborious thing to do.
Yeah.
And reconciling with that. And sometimes, right, having moments with Saturn of like not questioning, like, am I up to this? And of course, right, Saturn outside galvanizes Saturn inside, right?
Yeah, the doubt. And
yeah, the constriction, or that it's the constriction or the length of something that creates the perseverance and the conviction inside of you to keep going.
Right. Yeah. With all of this like change happening and all of these shifts, like at least for me, like I do feel the urge to just like, I want to be this new person now. But you cannot be that exactly now. And so like in this moment, maybe having like grace for the fact that you're not going to be everything that you want to be, or your life isn't going to look like how you want it to look like, but you can see the steps that it will take to get there, like in the long run over this 2.5 year cycle that we're going to get the sun annually chiming in with Saturn.
Yeah. And the sun having some of the buoyancy because it is in its exaltation that Saturn lacks in its fall.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I am going to commit to walking down this road, or at least I'm going to try.
Yeah. Yeah. On the flip side of that, though, too, there could be somewhat of I do think of Saturn as being consequences. I don't know if that's always a great word to use, but like in the impulsivity of Aries, the sun kind of going with Neptune and then running into Saturn, like, right, if you did take, like, not all risks are going to pay off, yeah, or, yeah, I had another thing that I just thought, and it just left in and out. Mercury, Pisces. Yeah, it'll come to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, be careful what you kind of wish for, right? Like, you can, if Neptune in the sun in Aries, like, have this really glorious dream of something kind of getting off, and like maybe you do it, like maybe you jump in and then be like, oh, this is not anything like what that I thought that it would be, or impulsive actions taken. Just kind of the good news is it happened so fast that I'm like hoping that like whatever was impulsive like just doesn't get off the ground, but it's okay. Like it's not that it'll never get off the ground. It's just that you're like, oh, I really want to do this. This is really not the right moment in time for this.
Yeah.
But there will be a time for it, and just taking the longer view.
Yeah. And it being some kind of fulfillment or some kind of nodding back to like Venus stepping into that series of aspects with what it wants. And then the sun stepping in with this is how I'm integrating who I am, or like this into a larger purpose, not just from a place of desire.
Yeah.
And then we get, yeah, I mean, then the rest of that week is quieter. And the last thing I have for March is Venus entering Taurus on March 30th.
Yeah, I'm happy about that one. Evening star Venus in the, I think of Taurus as like the more evening star sign of the two, because it's yin and earth. So I always love Venus and Taurus every year, or every time we get it. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about, like, it feels like after the month that we just went through, it ends with another little sweet note of, yes, in the, if we just push a little forward into April, like, it's going to be a Libra full moon, and then it's going to be a Venus square Pluto. But again, like, Venus has the power in the moment, I think. And so I do that we get a Venus in the domicile for that lunation anyway, for a Libra moon time. Not as sweet as Pisces. Yeah.
Right, but grounded.
Yeah. Venus is, she's grounded. It's a little hedonistic, I feel. Like the pleasure.
Yeah, but it could also be the pleasure of simple things. I mean, having lost so many planets from Earth signs, right? Like nobody, right? The moon is the only thing that like every, once a week is hitting an Earth sign. But besides that, everything feels so dynamic in the fire, so floaty, so watery. And then Venus comes in to be like, okay, how do we contain this in the body? I mean, we still have Uranus and Taurus until the end of April, but that's not, it's not.
We're honestly just like used to it. Yeah. Like, after all these years, like we've learned how to find, the peace and the silence of Taurus in spite of Uranus disruptions.
Yeah. And I think that Venus and Taurus, right, she's going to be holding us for the first part of April, because, if March feels like it kind of, it's not relaxing, but there is the element of softness, and then it feels like things heat up so fast and so harshly in April. But what we do have is Venus and Taurus and a direct Jupiter in Cancer.
Yes. Yeah, it puts the benefics both in like really good condition. Mm-hmm. And I'm here. We're always here for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Flowers bloom.
Flowers bloom. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is going to be the like women out with their flowers, not just the men out with their flowers.
Yes, first the men mow the grass, and then the ladies, go to the nursery and buy their plants and beautify the space.
And
the men can maintain
do some earth tending.
Yeah. Such a great, like, for me, it just means like I think that like time spent out in nature will be the most common, like balancing So like it feels like no matter what we're gonna head into or been going through, like nature is still there to support you and care for you, and you can care for it, and that's still like a loving and reciprocal relationship that you have in spite of all of the other entanglements and severings and things like that.
Yeah, I came across a Wendell Berry quotation on somebody's Substack in the last month that talked about like the future that we're facing. Like we will have to choose whether we want to be robots or be creatures.
Mm.
And that like, yeah, remembering that the earth and nature offers itself to you in a way that you can always participate with it.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of what you're being excluded from in our systems, in our artificial systems.
Yeah, it's like we spend so much time trying to get away from anything that is uncomfortable, and we sort of lopped like all of the primal earthly things is like uncomfortable. I don't know, that's how I'm looking at it, and I feel like but there's such like wisdom in just like running barefoot or enjoying the sky or like understanding that you are a mammal. You're a mammal. That
or having the experience of being a mammal.
Yeah. Just remind yourself, like,
Yeah. After my sister died, I had one of those moments because she died at the end of May, and so it was just becoming summer. And a couple weeks after that, I was like riding my bike in the sun with like a warm breeze and just like felt the full impact of like what a pleasure that was. And like, oh my gosh, like something like this is enough. This is enough of a reason to like be here and to do this whole project just for like moments of riding your bike around town in the sun. And that's right, like speaks to that. Oh yeah, the pleasure of being a creature is often very accessible if we let ourselves receive it.
Yes.
And also
in a world. Yeah, I love that. Like in a world that just constantly wants to drag you into this more and more and more by like whatever. Yeah. No, sorry. Yeah, the warm sun and a soft breeze is good enough.
Yeah. Thank you for being here with me today to talk about March.
Yes, thank you for having me. And yeah, I hope that March is soothing for you and all of us in some ways.
Yeah. Becoming the next thing that we get to be. Yeah, so thanks everyone for listening. If you made it this far, you can find both of us if you want to work with us individually for readings and stuff, or support either of us through our Substacks. Definitely helps. But also just thanks for being here and sharing this life that sometimes feels overwhelming and also feels like
yes, and for listening to our dreamy quiet, kind of exhausted approach to March. So thanks.
Yeah. 2 Virgos try to record a podcast with Mercury retrograde in Pisces
on very near an eclipse in Virgo. We're doing it.
We did it.
We did it. Oh yeah. We're
okay. Goodbye everyone. Talk to you next month.
Yes, we'll see you next